What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the YBA, where today we're going to break down a tutorial on some challenging hair. Now, my man here, he's kind of skinny, he's got some dips in the head, and he gets a skin fade, and it's definitely a bit of a challenge, and there are some things that I will do when hair like this walks in that intuitively I already know, but I would like to share them with you in this video. So, let's stay tuned for about 5 big keys, and there'll probably be more than that, and we're going to work our way through this tutorial. If you guys would like any of the tools that you see used in this video, you will find them down below in the links. Let's go. We're gonna start this haircut out using our boosted up clipper, fully closed. This thing comes with a fade blade, and we're gonna put the line in with this, which at times might feel like it's an extra step that I might not need to do. I could have just went with the trimmers, but I already know what this hair is gonna do. I already know it's gonna be a challenge to fade that line out. So to make it a little bit easier on myself, I decided to put it in with the clipper in the fully closed position, which will leave the hair about 3 zeros, but to use the electric shaver, we need to get this bad boy down to 5 zeros. So to do that, we're gonna use our trimmer, and we're gonna pretty much pretend like this line right here is actually the trimmer line. Now, once I've got that hair all the way down, all I want to do next is I want to take my electric shaver very close to this line, flicking up and out. Now, we are doing a good amount of skinning, so I decided to actually use the Rebel, which is 11,000 RPMs. That motor is super strong. Those blades cut super close, and I decided to use that to ball them out. So your main goal here, blend that area between that trimmer and your shaver. One of the big keys right here, I want you to listen up. We could start this fade right now with the hair as long as it is, and I guarantee you it will not come out quite as easily, and I will struggle some. So I'm actually going to debulk this section before I begin trying to fade out that line, and I'm going to do that with my 1.5, and I'm gonna do it with 2 clicks, 1, 2. So if I close it all the way, 1, 2 down, and I'm going to go ahead and lift up and straight off of the head. One thing that so many of the barbers do these days is they give people cone heads. They go way too high with the fade in here, and they leave themselves some long hair up here. And if you look at it from here, it'll look good because you won't see like lines in it, but it will not be good from the client's perspective looking straight on. It's gonna be all jacked up like this mannequin that was living in the back of my truck rent-free. So because I decided to debulk with the 1.5, or you could do that with the number 2, I decided to come back with some clipper over comb, putting my clipper in my fingers like a pencil, and I'm just kind of working on that silhouette. I want to keep this area square, and I think it's really smart of you and me, this is being my system and all, to know where you're coming from, skin, know where you're going to, reasonably speaking. So I'm trying to get the hair blended into that length right there. So it makes sense for me to address that top and that bottom and then try to connect the middle. Now, if I'm not wanting to take the risk with clipper over comb, I could go back and clean up a little bit with a 2, with a 3, with a 4, but I don't really need to do that very often. It's just once in a while on certain types of hair, it might make sense to do that. So in this case, I did do the number 3, but that's only because of the weird growth patterns he has on the right side of his head. I was like, you know what? I'd rather just not dip into that. And while I'm at it, to further that connection, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna use some shear over comb. As I spray the hair, I'm gonna drag that hair down so I could kind of make it have the lines. I can see all the weight, and I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna reduce that weight little by little. Now we have a really good connection going into that top, and that's what I wanted to see before I went forward in this particular case. So to start this out, as always, we're gonna click our clipper down into the open position, and we're gonna put a guideline in about the finger's width. My middle finger is a little longer than the first finger, so I'm not trying to like flip you guys out, but you can stretch it a little further than that if you need to in some cases. The next step we're going to be doing is the half guard. 2 clicks open, 1, 2. Yes, I skipped straight to the half guard because a lot of times, and in this case, you're gonna see, I'm gonna get the blend looking pretty good with only that half guard, and then I can go back with my 1.5 or my number 1, and I can sandwich those 2 lengths together. I'm not concerned in the least bit about that bottom line because I put that in with a closed taper, which means it's gonna be pretty easy to remove. So sometimes, especially towards the beginning of your barber journey, you might want to do that. So now that we got our blend great from the skin line all the way up to the top of the head, we're gonna remove that skin line. And the way that we're gonna do it is actually pretty simple. We're gonna take our trimmer line, we're gonna pretend that that trimmer line is right there. we're gonna take our clipper, and we're gonna just poke a couple of teeth into that line with it on an angle, or we might look like it's straight, but we only have one of the teeth down. So it kind of gonna be working it like you would work an eraser if you were trying to erase some pencil line. And then we're gonna click it open little by little as we need to remove that area. So it's actually very simple to do when you follow these steps correctly. And one thing that I see a lot of beginners doing, and another key that you really need to observe, don't leave the head so much. Some of the beginners, they're kind of gonna go like this, because they understand that they don't want to cut too much, but they don't realize it doesn't cut on the downstroke. So you can work it just like a pencil and an eraser, just erasing that line little by little. So on the other side of the head, we did the exact same thing. We're going to sandwich the blend between that half guard after the open taper step, that half guard, and the 1.5. And it's going to come out seamless, smooth, and easy. Now, towards the very bottom, again, we're going to go ahead and use them corners, just like I told you about, and we're going to buff out that line. I don't always work in perfect order. My brain is like an artist. I work in whatever the hell way I feel like it. My brain does this when I cut hair. La, 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 la. And that's only because I cut hair intuitively. I'm watching the hair. I'm letting the hair tell me what it needs, what I need to do next. But one of the things that I've learned how to do over the years that I know will take some time for you is I've developed my barber eye, and I kind of know what tool will do what guard will do what. And the only way you can really acquire that knowledge is to get down in the trenches and get those reps in. You need to know when to back off with the clippers and go to your shears. You need to know when to back off from a guard and try a different guard. And that's the beauty of working intuitively. You can kind of do whatever you want when you work intuitively. Just look at the hair, focus on a section, focus on what you're trying to do, and work out that section. Okay, there comes a time in every haircut where you might have to shake it up, change machines, or try a different tack. I did everything I could do with the boosted up clipper, but the truth is I don't have this one zero gapped hardly at all. So I had to pick up my 360 Jeezys, which are set so close that they could literally cut wood. Now, what that also means is when I put guards on here, it's gonna cut a little bit closer. So I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna just kind of clean up here and there and everywhere and whatever I feel like I need to. And then we'll begin working on the beard. I'm gonna start off by addressing the backside of his chin. He told me he kind of wants to keep most of the length in his beard. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna set him up with that. And then being that I have my trimmers in my hand, if I see any other little lines that I feel like I could try to get rid of, I will. If I see any little hairs left over, I will. While you got it out, it's always smart to do that. And I guess I decided that it needed a little shear over comb on this side, so I left that in. And that seems to have really helped that out. But again, working intuitively means I'm doing whatever the heck I feel like. If I just looked at that and I didn't like the way it looked, then I'm going back a step. Now, we're going back forward. I actually have my Rebel trimmers, and we're going to go ahead. We're going to put that little line in, make sure everything's cool. Those are set really close. And here comes that little follow-up step I told you guys about. If I got an area that I'm struggling in, I'm definitely picking up that Uno 2.0. And if I see anything I don't like, I'm going back with them texturizing shears, anything it takes to get it done. Now we're just going to line them up using the heel of the blade. Now the bottom part of the neck, I decided to go back to my instincts. They're not set super close. I just know that they're not going to irritate his skin. So all I'm trying to do really is just kind of clean that area up some. At the end of my haircuts, I always check them with a really strong light. I keep a light on my station. You don't have to have an expensive light. I could put one down below. Like the one I use, I really love, but I actually use this more or less to check the haircut for myself visually to make sure that I've done everything I could possibly do to the client. And I take that light, I go all the way around the back and sides of the head. You're not gonna be able to fix something that you can't see, you guys. So I hope that you guys learned something from this haircut. We talked about a lot of things. If you guys have any questions, drop them down below. If you want any of the tools you've seen featured in this video, you guys will find a link to them down below. And we have over 1,000 videos to help you learn here at the YBA. So subscribe if you're not already, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. I'm out.